Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie on the 28th of September 2021 with me, Richard Vobes. It's 8 o'clock here in the UK. Could be a different time where you're watching, but you're very, very welcome. This is an extra special show, not extra special in that I've got anything extra special to show you, but extra special in that I don't normally do one on a Tuesday, and today is undeniably Tuesday. At least it was when I last looked. I'm still in my imposed house arrest, so I can't get out. But I thought it would be quite fun to do an extra show. So I'm only going to do an hour this evening. We've got a couple of videos we'll try to squeeze in just for good measure. But otherwise, it's really just a good old chin chat with you, the lovely person who has tuned in wherever you have tuned in, if you have indeed tuned in. And it's very nice to have you with us. Now, I thought we would, today, we would set a theme going, because we've only got an hour. Of course, you can talk about whatever you like, which would be lovely. But I understand that James Bond, the new Bond film that was filmed 2 years ago, is either having its premiere this week, or has had its premiere, or it's about to happen, or something like that. And I was interested in what your thoughts are about James Bond and the film that's about to happen. I know most people won't have seen it, and maybe nobody's seen it yet, apart from those who were involved in it, or the editor and the director. Who knows? Maybe it hasn't even had its premiere. But anyway, I thought it would be worth having a chinwag about that. I know it's been around on the media, so perhaps people have crystallised their thoughts on James Bond. And I understand that this is supposed to be Daniel Craig's last James Bond, but there was a rumour I did hear that maybe he is actually going to do another one. Now, I don't know whether that's true, and I don't want to spread that rumour, although clearly I have just done that, but never mind. And if we are looking for another James Bond, who would you like to be James Bond? But bear in mind, I'm sure you're going to suggest names. If you do suggest names, the people that I have no idea who they are, because I don't watch television. And to be honest with you, I'm not very good on what is happening now. There's a term for the zeitgeist of the now, and I don't really know who's currently hot and what have you. My film tastes are very much in the in the long distances of time. So you may mention names, and probably the most likely thing is about modern actors and things is that they've got names that I can't even pronounce, which is strange, but it seems to be the case that everybody has an unpronounceable name unless you actually know how to pronounce it by the spelling. Or I have absolutely no idea, even if I can pronounce it, whether they are male or female. That it just seems to be the sign of the times that instead of getting people like James Stewart, for example, who has two first names, funnily enough, or Dirk Bogart, or anything like that. The two names that I completely brought out the mind at random, which are very nice and easy names. But these days, people don't have very nice and simple names. They have very complicated or very foreign-sounding names. Not that there's anything wrong with having a foreign-sounding name, but I'm just somebody who always finds it difficult with names which perhaps have not come about from my early upbringing that I'm not terribly familiar with. That's just the way I am. You might think that that's very narrow-minded, and it probably is. And so that would be interesting. Station Master Choice says the premiere is actually tonight. So there they are. That's what I was under the impression that there was something to do with James Bond at the moment. By the way, big hello to everybody who's watching. We'll have a quick go through the roll call, but I won't spend too much time on it than usual because this is a bonus show. James Bond, first of all, let me ask this question. What did you think of Daniel Craig's tenancy of James Bond? Did you like it or did you not? To be honest with you, I when I very first went to see James Bond at the cinema with Casino Royale when it came out, I really did not like Daniel Craig at all. But I like him now, funnily enough. I have recently rewatched over the last couple of weeks, actually, these early films, the films that he made I don't think I've watched them in the right order, but never mind. And I have come to the conclusion that actually I do like him. Whether I merit him as the best one for me, I'm not sure. I think each of them have a certain merits. My least favourite was, unfortunately for him, is I can't even remember his name. So there you go. My least favourite one is I can't remember. What is his name? Somebody needs to tell me what the names of not Sean Connery, not Roger Moore, not George Lazenby, not oh golly, the other one who the one before last, but the one before that. Daniel Craig. If somebody could list the names of the actors that played James Bond, then I can tell you which one. Dalton. Yes, there we are. What's his name? What was his first name? Jeremy Dalton, Jeffrey Dalton, Roger, Jim Dalton, Dalton's dishwashers. I can't remember. Whichever one it was, anyway, him. He was my least favourite, but he was okay. But he was my least favourite. Timothy Dalton. There we go. There we go. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. David Niven actually played it. Yes, he played it in Dr. No, didn't he? With the American actor and Peter Sellers. What was the American Jewish actor whose name I can't remember? Also, but that was a sort of a comedy piss take type of nonsense thing, wasn't it? If I remember rightly. And who was the one before? The one, but immediately before, I can see his face. But immediately before, what was his name? The one immediately before the one we've just mentioned. Oh golly, I'm not so unprepared for this. The one we've got at the moment is Daniel Craig. The one before that was somebody else. Anyway, so it'd actually be interesting if you're not even in favour of it. Can somebody just give me a list of all of them, please? That would be handy. Then I don't need to sort of... Pierce Brosnan, that's right. I knew that, because every time I think of Pierce Brosnan, I think of the other Pierce. You know, the one who walked off the set on ITV Good Morning, whose name, even now, I can't think of his name. George Lazenby, actually, on his Majesty's Secret Service, I thought was a very good film. Although he wasn't terribly charismatic as a Bond, he did make a pretty good spy that would have been, you know, A00 that was not particularly well featured or something. George Lazenby. I mean, he was a model, wasn't he? Really. Bit like Roger Moore, really. But I thought that the On Her Majesty's Secret Service film was actually, in terms of plot and what you got was very good. I really enjoyed that one. He was, as I say, he wasn't the greatest Bond, but I favoured him, or at least that one film, over the Timothy Dalton ones. There was just something creepy, in my opinion, about Timothy Dalton, to be honest with you, as a hero. He was just, I don't know why they cast him, but that was mine. Clive Waterfall, hello to you. He says, evening all. Parts of Skyfall, along with several other films, were filmed on Hankley Common here in Elstead. The fake Scottish hunting lodge and church were built there for climactic scenes. Piers, Cluando and Southend, says Station Master's choice. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Mark Burgess says, I always mix him up with Roy Castle. Yeah. Now, Roy Castle would have been an interesting Bond. And if you could have cast somebody from the past to be James Bond, who would you have cast to be James Bond? Who would make an interesting James Bond from ye olde days if it had not been who we saw? So Brainwash Chris says Bob Holness was the first 007. I believe he did it on radio, didn't he? We're talking about the films, really, rather than the radio. The franchise of James Bond, only because most people will think that way, and fewer people will probably think about the radio version or indeed audio versions. No disrespect to you, Brainwash Chris, is a good observation. At least one of the Bond films had scenes shot up on Beachy Head. Yes, and I think one of them was filmed on the cliffs at Amberley, wasn't it? Just above Amberley Chalk Museum, if I remember rightly. Nigel Sadler says, I saw the original Casino Royale in the cinema. That was the first Bond, predating Dr. No, which was the first of Broccoli's Dynasty production. Yes, Casino Royale. That was the very first one. Was a very comedy one, wasn't it? Terry Thomas. What do you think, Terry? I say, absolute sure. I'm ever so sorry. I'm going to have to kill you. I really don't want to do that, you know, but you know what they're like back. MI5 are a stickler, absolute stickler. So I've got this rather lovely... Would you like to have a look at the gun? It's a marvellous... It's ever so good. It's got this silencer. Oh, it's spiffing, really spiffing silent. Just a minute, is it your henchman over there? He's a rather stout fellow, isn't he? Very, very large. I'm sure he could murder somebody with a snap of his fingers. But never mind, fortunately, we've tied him up. Could you bring him out? You watch this. This is absolutely... Barely heard it. Did you hear it? I did hear a little bit. I think they could do a bit more on that. Make it just a bit more silent. Would be good, wouldn't it? After all... Otherwise, be spotted absolute shower. Yes, I think Terry Thomas would be hilarious as James Bond in a somewhat comic way. Les Dawson as James Bond. I can't really see that one myself. Clive Owen is perfect Bond. Clive Owen. I don't know who Clive Owen is, so I don't know who that would be. Lewis Collins would give it a certain earthy gravitas, wouldn't it? Alf Garnett as James Bond in later life, as a bitter man, now retired and pensioned off and spent all his money, and so he is now in some up two down suburban house. Would be quite a hilarious James Bond, actually. Good evening to the Eastbourne couple. Norman Wisdom would have been a brilliant James Bond, and he sort of did play... he played double characters in Square Peg, where he did become a policeman and had to infiltrate as the Italian, whatever he was, mafiosi character in that. But yes, you can imagine Norman Wisdom. Don't go there. No, I'll have to shoot you. No, I will. I'm mucking about. No, missed. Mr. Grimsdale. You can imagine Mr. Grimsdale would be acting as Q. Now look here, Norman. I've got this. This is a whole load. Now, they're just apples, Mr. Grimsdale. No, Norman, they're not just apples. These are special grenades. You twist them.
Can I have a go, Mr. Grimsdale? No, you can't, Nor. Oh, come on, let me have a go. Hello. She loves me not. She loves me not. Oh, Mr. Grimsdale, it's ticking, Mr. Grimsdale. Why are you under the table? Oh.
Yes, I think Norman Wisdom would, again, make a somewhat hilarious James Bond. That would have been very funny. Station Master's Choice says the Amberley one was used under the tunnel mouth at the far end. Tom Hardy would make an awesome James Bond. Don't know who Tom Hardy is. Yeah, I told you, I'm not very good on these modern people, if he is a modern. Windsor Davis. Lovely boy. Lovely boy. That's a very strange James Bond Windsor Davis would have made. He's a lovely boy. That would be very funny. John Cleese, of course, would have been... Yes, John Cleese would have been... Thank you so much. Look, I told you shouldn't have been in there. Right, that's it. Thank you. That would have been very funny. Richard Burton. No one would have believed in this 20th century that I was James Bond. Yes, that's very true. Clive Owen played the Roman centurion in Arthur. Arthur.
Arthur.
I don't think I've seen Arthur, to be honest with you. That's the one with Dudley Moore. Will Hay would have been... Well, yeah. Will Hay, can you imagine it? That would be very funny.
You're wasting your time.
What do you mean wasting my time? Not wasting my time? No, well, you could be right. Yes, he would have... yes, he could have... Imagine Will Hay fighting on the top of a train as it's going into a tunnel with more Marriott and the little fat chap. He would have been Victor Meldrew, David Niven, Posh Bond. He did actually play a Bond, didn't he? Anthony Hopkins would have been a very intense Bond. You can imagine. I'm not very good at the Welsh accent. I'm not even going to try. Michael White says, I went into an antique shops in Kingston, Surrey and nearly bought a Wather PPK until I found out that it had not been deactivated. Oh, is that the sort of gun that James Bond would have had? Lewis Collins had an interview for it with Broccoli. I'm glad he didn't get it. It wouldn't have been the James... in a way. I mean, is Eric your cue? He's always there ready on cue. Isn't that right, Eric?
That's right, sir. I'm always ready, sir. Now, sir, I'm going to arm you with a lovely microphone. It's not a Sennheiser, sir. No, it's a Newman.
Yeah, the old Newman microphones, they were the best. But instead I've got one of these Podcast Pros. But then Max Wall, yes, he would have made with his funny walks. Yes. Wilfred Bramble, that's a good suggestion. John Cleese was brilliant as R. Oh, yes, that's right. He was in the Bond films. I forgot about that. Arthur of the Britons was Clive Owen. Bonnie H is really singing the praises of Clive Owen, and I can't bring him to mind. I'm ever so. Graham Moffat, yes, he would have been good as little fat James Bond. And died at around 30 something, didn't he? That was really such a shame. I was watching his life story the other day. Would Eric arm you with a launch-able ferret? Yes, that would be hilarious.
There we are, sir. I've got your ferret ready for you, sir. It's ready for immediate transportation.
Oh, thank you, Eric. It's very kind. Ronnie Barker for James Bond. That would have been good. Yes, Richard Bryars, young Richard Bryars. Yes, that would be very good. Very good for James Bond. All very, very keen. I worked with Richard Bryars on something many, many years ago. Eric Morecambe. He would have been Norman Collier. Yes, we've got some excellent suggestions here. Norman Collier would have been hilarious. Patrick McGowan. Yeah, he's there. No, he would have. I'm sure he would have. Danger Man himself. He would have been very good. That's very good. Richard Vobes as James Bond and Julia as Moneypenny. Well, there you are. You see, of course, that would have been good. Who would have made a big master evil character? That would Richard Wattis. Now I say, Eric, Sykes. Oh, Richard Wattis was absolutely brilliant. He had your British accent through and through, isn't it? Now look here, Sykes. I can't do him, but he was brilliant. Patrick Moore for Bond. Absolutely marvellous. We look up into the atmosphere, and there you could see on the planet Uranus next to Pluto. Yes, there's master. Oh, Patrick Moore as. Oh no, Patrick Moore would have made a brilliant evil genius, wouldn't he? We're going to get the stars in line, and then once they're in line, we're going to take over the world. He would have been very. Brian Blessed, Eric Sykes would have made a hilarious Bond. Who would make a great evil character? Who would be very good at that in your... Charlie Drake.
My pistol won't come home.
Rod Hull and Emu. Yes, Rod Hull and Emu, they would, in their pink windmill, would have been great Bond characters. Bernard Lee was my grandfather's best friend, said Michael White. Bernard Lee, yes, he was in the one of the Bonds, wasn't he? And he was also in Whistle Down the Wind. I do remember that. Could you do Spectre with Donald Pleasant's monocle? Oh yes, I could do that myself, couldn't I? Of course, Donald Pleasant's his most famous role was in The Great Escape, where he trips over a cow or something, doesn't he? He says, "I can see perfectly. I can see perfectly." And he picks up the pin. He says, "Would you pick it up again?" But of course, Wah! Picked up the pin and tripped over a cow. Kenneth Williams as an evil genius.
Oh no, stop knocking him down. Yes, but my plan, of course, is to take over the world and goes without question. I am an evil genius. Now, if only I had a cat. Where can I get a cat? No, I haven't got a cat. How can I be an evil genius if I haven't got a cat? No, one of my minions. And I do like my minions. I like them. And they're going to get me a cat and I'll be an evil genius. Yes. That would be very... Michael Crawford, Betty, would be very good. I don't really know Michael Crawford. I know he went on to do a lot of live theatre and musical theatre and all of that. And to be honest with you, I mean, to me, he was Frank Spencer, and I can't see... I never went to see Phantom or anything like that, or any of the other things. Joe Pasquale. I've had an accident.
Yes, he would have been very good, wasn't he?
I'm an evil genius. No, I am an evil genius.
Where are you?
I'm down here.
Oh, hello, Joe. I mean, evil genius.
I want to take over the world. I will.
Charles Hawtrey.
Oh, hello.
He would have been very funny. Gavin Williamson says, "Ooh, Betty." I don't know who Gavin Williamson rings. I think getting on to people. Marty Philman, yes, I can't do it. Julian Clary, never liked Julian Clary, have to say. Arthur Mullard, he would have been, he was just like, your archetypal heavy, wasn't he? What's that? Yeah, all right, Arthur Mullard. Michael Crawford really surprised me in Phantom. That man could sing. Well, I hope he could sing. Yes, I never really saw it. It was just not my cup of tea, all those Julian, what's his name? Andrew Lloyd Webber's stuff. I never really got into his stuff. Not my cup of tea and all of that. But, yeah, no, thank you for that. There we are. And so I guess now here's where I'm going to open myself up to not being very knowledgeable at all. But the ones that aren't, but could have been, Bond girls. Let's start with Irene Handel. She would have made a lovely Bond girl. And Nora Batty, whatever the actress's real name. Laurel and Hardy, 0014, says 0014. Yeah, very good. Who would make a good Bond girl? I've started the bidding with Irene Handel, but I'm sure that... you can come... Hattie Jakes, of course. Hattie Jakes actually would have been a brilliant Bond girl, and indeed a brilliant evil. Would have been very good. Rita Webb. Oh, yes, that was the other name I was trying to find in my head. Once interviewed Honor Blackman, lovely woman, spoke like chocolate. Hattie Jakes. Fenella Fielding would have been very good, wouldn't she? Jason Donovan, Jason isn't a woman, just so you know. At least, I mean, who knows? People are fluid these days, aren't they? Audrey Forbes says, hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Had to do some emergency housework. I know how it is. Margaret Rutherford, Jackie Lowe. Absolutely. She would have made a brilliant Bond girl. She almost was, wasn't she, in those Miss Marple films? Anne Widdecombe. Yes, that's very true. She would have gone. Bonnie, the unsung Bond girl. Bonnie, as in Tyler, do you mean? Bonnie Tyler. Oh, do you mean yourself? Sorry, I missed that one, didn't I? Barbara Windsor. Yes, Barbara. Raquel Welch. Oh, of course. Oh, yes, Raquel Welch would have been absolutely perfect as a Bond girl. What was it? 54 million years BC. That was a cracking film, wasn't it? Hey, if you liked prehistoric bras, if that was your thing. And when I was a younger man, it could have been. I can't say any more than that. Anna Karen, as otherwise known as Olive.
Oh, Arthur.
Yes, she would have been fantastic.
Oh, Arthur.
On the buses, Olive on the buses. That would have been Gretchen Corbett. I don't know who she is. And Adrienne Poster, Lorraine Chase,
Luton Airport.
She would have been good. Queen Elizabeth II, after all, she can jump out of a helicopter. Well, that's very true. She can, can't she? Doom Goblin says, oh yes, the Doom Goblin, what's her name? I can't even remember. What's her name? The Doom Goblin's name? You know, the one with ringlets and piglets. What's the silly little girl's name who's the anti-climate change? How dare you? Whatever, I can't remember it. Valerie Singleton, that's an interesting choice. Yes, blimey. You beat me to it. I can't remember her name. Olive from the Buses wasn't unattractive, says John B. She was a great actress, though. She really was. Who was that woman in the Norman Wisdom film who kept putting sugar into the tea? Esme Cannon. Esme Cannon. Brilliant actress. Esme Cannon. She was the dotty old lady. She appears in a couple of the Carry-Ons. Carry On Regardless, she is in there. And she yes, they don't make them like that anymore. Now people are far too sophisticated and really quite dull. But some of those character actresses from the 50s and the 60s and what have you, or characters. Oh, Thunberg, yes. What's her name? Thunberg. Yes, he was a Dolly Parton, Hilda Baker. No, that's true. What was her name? Somebody. I can't. It's funny. I'm not very good with names, as you can probably tell. Why I do this show, I really haven't known. Blue Peter, 007. Oh yes, John Noakes. He would have been a good James Bond, wasn't he? Joan Sims. Oh yes, Hilda Ogden. My goodness, Margaret Thatcher. Yes, for James Bond. So if you were going to have a new James Bond, and people were saying, they're saying, could James Bond be a woman? Clearly not. Is my opinion. That's not to say that you couldn't have a super spy who is a woman, but I think I agree with Daniel Craig that a woman. Why not make a role? Why there must be a role for a super spy who just isn't. Why change? Why upset people when it is really about a man? Because it started off like that. Now I know people are going to go, oh yeah, but you could change the sexes and what have you, and you could, but I think it would you would change it so much by having it as a woman, it wouldn't be quite credible, and yet you could quite happily have a film about a woman spy who is brilliant. But I think just women would have different way of doing things to a man. And what would you do? You would have to change the whole persona of James Bond if you made it a woman. But if we did, who would you have? Nicola Sturgeon. Oh my God. I did enjoy Doctor Who as a woman, says Bonnie. Yes, well, I suppose that's possible because he was a Time Lord and you could change it round. For me, I lost interest in Doctor Who when Eccleston played it and anybody therein after. They changed the whole nature of Doctor Who. But for me, it was Wokesville, Arizona, when is it Jodie Foster? No, Jodie somebody, is it whoever the woman is who currently plays it, as if she's in a play group, like the woman in a playing with children. I've never seen anything so remarkably unlike a Doctor Who character, in which she is like the woman of a play group. I mean, that's the most bizarre thing. Mary Milliton is a suggestion, says Station Master's Choice. I don't really know who Mary Milliton is. And you spelled it correctly. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Isn't she married to Daniel Craig, Joanna Jones? I didn't... It Killed It. I never watched it. Oh, It Killed It. Yes, I absolutely agree. I think it made a mockery having Doctor Who as a woman. And I do think that when you start getting into changing the sex of a character that's been established for so long, it becomes a silly idea, because you could have a series about a time traveller who is a woman and start from scratch. You've got the whole world as your oyster, or the whole universe, I suppose, to have characteristics without being bogged down and not offending any of the fans. What's the point? What's the point of upsetting people who have established this person just because it's politically correct these days to bend genders and end up sort of trying to appeal to the woke brigade? Why not just go, look, that's Doctor Who, that's always been. Let's invent a new character called I don't know, Doctor somebody else, or invent a different type of name. That would have been far, far better. Dr. LBGTQ, there you go. Would have been taking a mickey a little bit, but you know what I mean. Jenny Bond as 007. Yeah, her name sounds the same. Ron Langley says, I agree. Bonnie 8 says, is it me? I didn't say it, but Richard read it wrong. Oh, did I read it wrong? I thought you said you liked... Well, let's have a look. Where you said didn't you? It's possible I read it wrong. I often read so many things wrong. So, Bonnie, you didn't say you didn't like. I can't understand it now. Did you or did you not? Not that it really matters, but did you or did you not say you liked Doctor Who as a woman? I didn't enjoy... Oh, there you go. Sorry, my mistake. You're quite right. I've just found it. I didn't enjoy Doctor Who as a woman. No, quite right. And I just think it's, as I say, what's the point? What's the point of changing the gender? Because so much history goes behind that person being them, and you've got the opportunity to invent something new. Sorry, Bonnie, I completely take that back. I do misread. I've only got the one eye. That's my excuse. But sometimes the text is quite titchy on here, and I'm reading it at a glance, as you know. So I apologise for that. The feminists wouldn't like Wonder Man at all. Imagine, yes, instead of Wonder Woman, Wonder Man. Wonder Man, Wonder Man. Mark Burgess says, Jodie is out soon. Don't know if Russell Davis will go with male or female for number 14. What's Russell... Russell T. Davis. He sort of took over the mantle from Terry Nation, didn't he? Wasn't Terry Nation one of the original writers or creators of Doctor Who? Bonnie says, yeah, just to reiterate, I didn't like the woman. No, absolutely. Jodie... Was it Jodie Foster? Have I got that right? Or Jodie somebody or other? Julia says, I liked a female doctor. And a fridge is playing the new TARDIS. There we are. I mean, just invent... this is the thing. It just seems lame. It just seems lame to do that when you could be so much more inventive and create a new character. Like Tank Girl. I don't really know anything about Tank Girl, to be honest. Julia's mentioned Tank Girl to me. I think she comes from action cartoons or whatever they're... graphic novels. But something like that, then there's no point having Tank Man... that would tank in the cinema, I'm sure. But if you said, right, okay, we're going to have this character Tank Girl and she's going to do this, this and this, then they become their own thing. There just seems to be no point in changing the identity. Incidentally, I want to build myself a theremin. Yes, build one. The G-Monster says he was in the early 1980s, then Jonathan Nathan Turner. That was in the 1980s, then Jonathan Nathan Turner. Are we talking about the writers on Doctor Who? We possibly are. Thank you for that. Anyone else miss seeing The Magic Roundabout? With Eric Thompson doing the voiceover. Poor old Eric Thompson. I think he died quite young, didn't he? But it was a French programme, The Magic Roundabout. Load of old nonsense, really. But it did bring us up in our childhood. Mark Burgess says, didn't have any malice towards... Oh, Jodie Whittaker. There you go. That's who it is. But Chris Chibnall ruined things. Joanna Lumley was better female doctor. Was Joanna Lumley the doctor then? Who's the doctor now? Tank Girl comes from Worthing Art College, says Nigel Sadler. Oh, I beg your pardon. I thought it was I thought it was a thing. Michael White says I was on pheromones and then I got better. Oh yes, don't want to worry about. I love The Magic Roundabout. It had multiple meanings. Yes, I'm sure it had multiple meanings if you saw them into it. I remember the caretaker. Do you remember the Harold Pinter's The Caretaker? And people, I remember reading a thing about it was on an introduction actually to a French's edition. French's was the publisher that used to print up plays, and you would get I think they're an English company. I don't think French or anything. It's just the name of the company, and you'd get this play, and it would it'd be printed up, and you'd read it. And I remember reading The Caretaker when I was in my acting days. Because I did a Pinter play, The Dumb Waiter, funnily enough, and anyway, in the forward, I think of the sort of something like the 1970s edition, it had an interview with Harold Pinter about the play, The Caretaker, and in the interview he said it's interesting. I often get letters about The Caretaker and what people see the meaning is. They often think that if anybody is not familiar with The Caretaker, you've got this tramp type character who goes into a building, and there are two, if I remember rightly, they're brothers, and one is deemed to see like the god, and one is deemed to be a bit like the devil, and the caretaker is this tramp-like character who ends up in the middle of them, is man being pulled from one side to the other. And this is how Harold Pinter had explained it. He said, I often get this, that one is seen as God and one is seen as that. And he said, and it is laughable because I never wrote it like that. People see these things. I wrote it about a bloke who goes into a house, and there was these two brothers. And he hadn't, as he wrote it, hadn't in this intro. I don't know whether it changed or not, but that's what I read. He said that's nothing. But people will see things in things that wasn't originally intended, and I think that's true in a lot of things. And so when who was it who just said, you know, things are on lots of levels. Often I don't think those levels are always there. I think that's just the perception. But I could be wrong. I often am. Derek and Clive did a very rude magic roundabout. That's very nice for them. Sean James Cameron says they're also remaking The Waltons. Well, good luck with that. Good night, Jim Bob. Sean Buttermer says, what was the name of the show Joanna Lumley played a character called Purdy? That was the Avengers, the New Avengers, wasn't it? It's wrecking my head and I can't remember the name. The New Avengers with... obviously John Steed and the other guy, what's his name? Gareth Hunt, who was in those adverts where he was shaking the coffee beans, and he disappeared off the face off, didn't he? There was the original Avengers, of course, with Patrick McNee and Emma Peel and all that lot. Yes, the New Avengers. There we are. It's all coming up now. The New Avengers, which was... It was all right. It was okay. I mean, it was more brought up to the 70s, wasn't it? 1970s. Alan Sandell says The Waltons was rubbish the first time. I never really got into The Waltons. I didn't really understand. I think you did have to... I think you had to be American or have some sort of sense of America to understand all of that. Good night, Jim Bob. I think Gareth Hunt died. Yes. It's all that bloody coffee shaking, I'm sure. that can happen. Aren't Ant and Dec the new Morecambe and Wise, says Sean James Cameron. I don't know. Emily Champion, Gareth Hunt lives near me. I served him in a shop once, wanted a crusty loaf. Very nice. You never know. Might come back and ask for a minty biscuit. I was listening to that YouTube clip the other day. I love the Anedian line. Yes, the Anedian line was good fun. And upstairs, downstairs. My mum used to love upstairs, downstairs. That was all good fun. We've sort of come away from the Bond. The Waltons wasn't great, says John B. If you want to give me a ring, by the way, only doing an hour today. 0793 4746790 is the number. Sean Buttimer says the 14th of March 2007, Gareth Hunt died. Ah, right. Okay, there we go. Michael White admits that he's a bit crusty. And he was only 65. Was he really? Quincy was the best show for me. Oh, yes, Quincy was very good. Columbo, all those sort of McLeod. There you go. They were funny. I used to enjoy all of that. There was a sort of era of all that sort of stuff, wasn't there? I don't know. Is there an era of programmes now? Sunday night was always Heart to Heart. Oh, yes. That was, I do remember, a bit smarmy Heart to Heart for me. Eric and Ernie were funny. But, of course, a lot of that now is you can't show any of that because you probably need to put up a warning, don't you, for people. Such a shame. Right, okay, we'll show a video. We'll have a break, and we've got a couple of videos to show in. So Bernie is back in Sidlesham, I believe. It's Sidlesham Part 2. If you remember last time, we had Jack Hargreaves' theme with Bernie giving us some lovely scenery in Sidlesham. But we will... Quincy... Emily Champion. Sorry, just suddenly it was sidetracked. Sorry, Bernie. Suddenly sidetracked. Quincy. Can you imagine episodes of Quincy? He was on the verge of a heart attack in each episode. Can you imagine Quincy now, an episode of Quincy now, dealing with the coronavirus pandemic? Can you imagine? I can see what an amazing episode or feature film that would be. I mean, that whole, the corona stuff was made for Quincy. It really was. Oh my God. Just suddenly I can see it. Him going, oh, and they're all taking this vaccine and people are dying, their body bags are everywhere. And amazing. Right, over we go to Bernie and Sidlesham Part 2.
And there is the lovely old gateway, the Sidlesham Church. Looks as though it's out of use now. The church is a Grade 2 listed building, and let's go and take a closer look. Well, Parish Church of St John the Baptist. It says circa 13th century, but mainly 15th century, I think, with 18th, some 18th century additions. Reading up, there's a ring of 6 bells here, and the first bell apparently arrived in, I think it was the 16th century, and it had later additions in the 17th and 18th, but the final bell wasn't put into position until 1929 apparently, which I find rather interesting. I don't know if you saw that. There's a rabbit just run across between the graves. And he's just gone across in the distance there. Sun. Where am I going? It's coming up. And it's coming up between those trees there. And I just thought I had to get that shot in. And that's one of the reasons why I like coming up here early in the morning. The church is actually quite some distance from what is now the village. I'm standing up here, and although there's the old vicarage next to it, it's nearly a mile down the road until you actually get to the bridge, which is really what I've come looking for as part of my Bridges of the Three Rivers of Rye series. Look at the girth on that. What a lovely tree. If only you could talk, Mr. Tree. You would tell me that I'm probably talking a load of garbage here. Now this tree here, these are Spanish chestnuts, as I found out, and this one here, and as I said to you before, parts date back to the 13th century, most comes back to the 15th century. And I've just seen a plaque which tells me that these trees, these Spanish chestnuts, were planted when this current building was dedicated in 1632. But I have to touch the tree, don't I? Blessed tree. 1632. Wow. I am touching a tree that is nearly 400 years old. And I feel it's a privilege.
Sidlesham, there we are. How beautiful is that? And those sweet chestnuts, or Spanish chestnuts, depending on which way you want to talk about them. Love the bark, twisted bark. You notice how twisted they were? Fantastic to see as they mature. They seem to sort of twist round. Beautiful. And the girth on the one, that was a Spanish chestnut or sweet chestnut as well. I was looking at the leaves and of course the twisted stuff. Easy, love them, brilliant. And the Irish yews that you were looking with the sun coming through. Irish yews, they are the yew trees in which they're all very close together, as opposed to the other yew trees, which are, I don't know whether they're just English yews or just yews, the other ones, but those are Irish yews. I learnt that some time ago, and it's always stuck with me. There you are. Thank you very much, Bernie. We look forward to the next one. Very good stuff, and it's nice to see a church in there as well, with a ring of bells, rung by a rabbit when you're not looking. Brilliant stuff. We've got time for another video, which we will go and do that now, because I'm only on here for an hour this evening. David Keel has got the second part of his day out. Do you remember he was out and he was filling up with petrol, which I don't know whether you were doing that during the petrol fuel shortage that we apparently have. By the way, can somebody tell me what the situation is? I'm not yet a free man to go and fill up my van, but when I am, it would be nice to put some diesel in it, but I don't want to join any queue and look like I'm one of these panic buyers, because I'm not a panic buyer. I don't no panic to buy the diesel. So do let me know if people are still, if it's still an issue. Yeah, but meanwhile, David Keel is out and about somewhere. Let's catch up with him. And this should be in super duper sound quality, because he wasn't happy with the original version, apparently. So he has remastered the audio on this. I've downloaded it, so hopefully this sounds even better than before.
Oh, I'm at a lovely lake, but it looks like they've emptied the lake. Oh, that's why the geese are there. This is normally a really nice tranquil place, and I can't remember the name of the village where it is. Anyway, I'll carry on. I just found this lovely river. Maybe some of the water comes from that lake. I was just in that village I was at. I've been seeing leaves falling from trees. I just saw some dropping over there. As I've been driving around, I've been seeing leaves starting to fall. So it's sort of nice in a way, because a lot of these footpaths in the summer, they're really overgrown with nettles and things. So it's nice that they will be it's nice that they will die off, and a lot of footpaths will be easier to walk down. I'm just on this road next to the racecourse at Goodwood. That's the horse racing course, I mean, not the motor racing circuit. And then I've got a coffee in the car, so I'll start to head down towards Bognor Regis then. That's the fantastic view from the road coming down from Goodwood, and that is Hanukkah Windmill over there. I know Richard made a video a while ago. There were no blades on the windmill. I think it was being restored. But as you're coming down this road, sorry, I'll just show you the road. Yeah, as you're coming down this road, there's a view. But now I think it's the Goodwood estate, they've started planting all these trees, which I think they're going to block the view. And it's one of the few spaces on this road where there is a view. And I was really annoyed about it. Like it's the only like 5 seconds I get to glimpse over and look over there. I don't know what kind of trees they're going to be, but they seem to be planting them everywhere, further up the road as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. I might add a little bit more to this video. I'm not sure. I don't want to bore people. But anyway, a farm shop I've never been to. Just across the road. The Goodwood estate has made these permissive footpaths. I don't know if you can see that sign. So it goes all the way down there. It's really good. Lovely views over the fields. That's looking towards the coast over there. And Chichester is just over that way. Right, I'll carry on now.
Excellent. We have another part to this little mini series. It's trilogy from David. Thank you very much, David. That was lovely. And we will be playing that one in tomorrow's show. There will be a show tomorrow. Lovely to see that. People were asking, whether it was in 4K. I don't know what it was originally shot in, but it came to me at 720p. Which is the sort of the low HD. So it's really nice and good quality. Thank you for that, David. Very nice. We're coming really to the end of this show. If anyone wants to squeeze in a quick phone call, now is the chance to do it. 07934746790. Did we come up with a new James Bond? Will you be going to see it in the cinema? That's a question. Will you go and see James Bond in the cinema, or will you wait for it to come out on DVD or on a stream? Will you watch it? Have you changed how you watch stuff since the pandemic and being locked up and not going out and not being able to go out because the cinemas were closed for a long time? Have you changed how you view things? Will you, or do you now rely on streaming stuff down, or will you go back to events like cinemas. Be interested in your thoughts on that. Sure, Station Master Choice says, I won't see James Bond at all. Fair enough. And never seen a Bond, never want to. I'll stick to Brooke Bond, says Sean James Cameron. Mark Burgess says, I'll wait till it's on TV. Yes, I've booked my 007 cinema tickets. Well done, Bonnie. Wait until the DVD. Where do you live, Linda? Says David Keel. I think cinema is important to go and support it. It's just sometimes it is very expensive to go and see these things. And I wish there was a cinemas that would do older films. Oh my God, what was that? Something just made a huge noise outside. I don't know whether we got wind or something, but something went ka-chung, like somebody was just shot. I would like to see films that have been around and then, a couple of years later they come back on, or a mixture of old films. I would go to a cinema. But some of these more modern cinemas, they seem to have lost a lot of the atmosphere, I think. I like the atmosphere of the old cinemas. But these days, people have such big televisions now and stereo systems that actually you can just get your own snacks and you can immerse yourself in a film. I don't think that will really kill films. It may kill cinema. I don't think it will kill films. I do watch the occasional film just on my computer screen, which isn't very big. I ought to put it up on this great big telly in front of me and to have a cinema, but I don't really. I don't watch that much, to be fair. I do watch too much YouTube, and I'm actually trying to purposely now not get so addicted to it and pick up a book instead of watching videos. I think becoming too reliant on just the fact that one can be entertained at a whim, and I think that's not very good because it makes us very impatient. And I've started to notice that trait with myself. And now when I'm cooking, I'd often have stuff on. I mean, I used to listen to Radio 4 all the time. I used to love Radio 4, but it got so woke in the end, along with the rest of the BBC. And I got rid of my TV license. And even though you don't need a TV license to listen to the radio, I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to the mainstream rubbish anymore. So I don't do that. So it's sometimes nice to have a podcast or a YouTube video which is somebody talking about stuff and I can listen as I talk. But I think sometimes it's also just nice to have a bit of silence and be around with my thoughts. And a lot of people don't do that. Jonathan Fox says, we were very lucky in Worthing to have a beautiful dome cinema. Absolutely. You're quite right there. Tom Cruise is rather short, says John B., apropos of something. Sean Buttermer says that the thing that annoys me about cinemas is when a big fat oaf sits behind you and they squash their knees up against the back of your seat. Oh yes, and you can feel it. That's not so nice. Linda Kane says, I like the Connaught in Worthing, 1930s, and the Dome. Station Master's Choice says, my friend John Bishop shows transport films at the Hailsham Cinema. Yeah, not really my thing. I have been invited and I sat through somebody showing some transport videos. And unless you've got a love of trains and things, it is a bit of a train spotter's, I mean, it's perfect if that's your thing, of course, and I'm not knocking it, but, if it's not your thing and you're sitting there watching these trains trundle by and think, there's a train, there's another train. Sorry, locomotive, not supposed to say trains, are you? This is where the people who like these things get a bit upset when you say it's a train and they say no, it's not a train, it's a locomotive or it's an engine or something, and then you go, yes, okay, we're all splitting hairs now. I think of it as a train, most people think of it as a train, but we know that, etc., etc. But that happens not just in, that can be somebody saying, would you like to look at my stamp collection? No, not really. Would you like to watch this video about heritage, landscape and nature? Has it got that bald bloke in it? No, not really. It annoys me in the cinema, they soon move away. If someone annoys me in the cinema, they soon move away. Don't you mean you move away? But lots of TV stuff is brilliant, just like all the platforms you have to pick. It's like being in a train station. John B says, do they still have usherettes? Been a while since I've been to the cinema. Yeah, does the woman come out? Why is it always a woman that comes out with the ice cream and stuff? Do they still do that? Julia Hartley says, me too. I just take my boys to the Saturday morning flicks and watch Flash Gordon. Oh, yes, that's a good choice. And surprise, surprise, says Station Master's Choice. Absolutely. Sean James Cameron says, talking television is great for an old film. It's online and on TV. Do they still tear the cinema tickets in half? Yeah, I never quite understood that. What was the point? You get the ticket, you've only had it 5 minutes, and the next minute the next bloke tears it in half. Bonnie says, I'll give a talk about beach huts. It's an acquired taste. Yes, I'm sure that is. But anyway, there we go. Thank you very much. Can't flash these days, says Alan Sandell. Can't flash what? Did you used to get, you used to get them at the cricket pitches, didn't you? Blokes would take off their clothes and go for a streak around. You don't get many streakers in a cinema. Maybe because it's dark. Best place, though, for it. So there we go. Anyway, I think that's it for today's show. Thank you very much for joining me for this hour of nonsense. And if you do get a chance to watch James Bond, let me know what you think in the future. If you've gone to the premiere or anything like, well, not the premiere, but, a recent viewing, it'd be interesting. I have no idea whether I would like it or not, but it's all good fun. Going to the cinema for me is I have to really want to watch something, but I won't go. The one thing about going to the cinema for me is I won't go if everyone tells me it's a great film. I hate being told in advance what I'm supposed to think about any film. So that's why I always want to watch a film when it's on a second running or something. So that the hype isn't there. Tell me the film is really great and build up the hype, and I lose complete and utter interest. Ron Langley says, thanks for being there, Richard. Being There was a great film with Peter Sellers. That was his last proper film, although he did do Fu Manchu, I think, as well. I fell asleep at a Bros concert once. Yes, I think I would. Different sort of show tonight, but excellent, most enjoyable. Thank you very much, Bernie. Much obliged. Thank you for the videos. Thanks to Bernie for the videos, and David Keel, and to all of you who called in. Sorry the switchboard was a little bit busy this evening. And to everybody else out there for making your comments. Buster Crab, Flash Gordon, yes, just saw that go up. All good stuff. Thanks to Julia and Judith for moderating. I'll be back again tomorrow with the normal format of an hour and a half. If you can bear it, you would have had too much of me by the end of the week. But it's nice to have a little bit of communication with somebody, even if it is just a camera. That's my end. Anyway, take care, look after yourselves. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Bye.